So that's 3 attendees. Do I have attendees? 3 attendees.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the open session of the Sequoia Union High School District Board of Trustees meeting. We open before we go into closed session, and we just want to check to see if there are any public comments. I don't believe there are any public comments in the room. And are there any public comments online? Don't see any attendees. So with that, I will go ahead and close this session of the meeting, and the board will adjourn to closed session. Thank you so much. Okay, we will go ahead and start. Welcome to this meeting of the Sequoia Union High School District Board of Trustees. I want to start with a welcome and explanation about public comment. If you are here in our live audience in the room, we have cards at that table over there if you would like to make public comment, and you could do it several times. We have an item on the agenda for public comments for items that are not on the agenda. And you may also make public comment during our various other agenda items. If you're a part of our Zoom audience, you would just raise your hand and I will call on you. And just a reminder that public comment is limited to 3 minutes. Also, if you're making public comments, your questions may not be answered, and that's because this is a meeting for the board. If you do ask questions in your public comment, staff will get back to you with answers to your questions. Okay, with that, could I have a roll call, please?
Student Trustee Swaminathan.
Present.
Student Trustee Rodriguez Velasquez. Trustee Thompson.
Here.
Trustee Sarver.
Here.
Trustee Stevenson. Vice President Ginn.
Here.
President Dubois.
Here.
A quorum is present.
Thank you for that. Next item is item number 5 on the agenda, approval of the agenda. Are there any changes or recommendations for the agenda? And if none, could I have a motion
I move approval.
and a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? The agenda is approved. Next, I have 3 report outs from our closed session discussion. First 2 are for legal settlements. The first one, by a vote of 5 board members in favor and 0 board members against, the Board of Trustees approved the settlement agreement for case 2022-2023-6. The second one, by a vote of 0 board members in favor, by a vote of 5 board members in favor and 0 against, the Board of Trustees approved the settlement agreement for case 2022-2023-3. We also unfortunately had an expulsion. Very sad to do this, but we have not had an expulsion in a very long time. So I do need a motion to approve the expulsion.
So moved. I'll second.
Okay. And oops, sorry, we're not used to doing this in open session. We're now following that. I think I need to read this. The California Education Code requires that final action of the board on an expulsion must occur in open session. Is there a motion for agenda item 2.3? Let's do this again.
Yes.
I move-
I'll move for, I think it's case 2022-23-1.
And I'll
Yes,
second
correct.
this time.
Okay, and all in favor? Okay. And the motion passes. Okay. Next is the approval of the consent agenda. And do I have a motion? Or any changes? Okay. Motion
I move approval of the consent agenda.
in a second?
I'll second.
Okay, and roll call?
Student trustee Swaminathan. Yeah. Student trustee Rodriguez Velasquez. Trustee Thompson,
Yes.
trustee Stevenson. Trustee Sarver,
Yes.
Vice President Ginn,
Yes.
President Dubois.
Yes.
Motion.
Thank you. Okay, that moves us along to item 8, special recognitions.
Good evening, everyone. This is always a great time for us to recognize our staff and also our students who go above and beyond. This evening, we're going to start our recognition off with our Sequoia High School family. May we have Principal Sean Priest come forward?
Good evening, trustees, superintendent, staff. It's amazing what happens when you define your values as an organization and then get out of the way and let people run. And at Sequoia, the belief that everyone wants to be successful in what they set out to learn, and that there are barriers that oftentimes prevent that success, and that as public educators, we are duty bound to confront those barriers, help students overcome them, or when possible, take them down within our roles. This is a great example of an awesome staff running with a great idea to do just that. Our IB reboot at Sequoia was conceived by teachers to provide students with an opportunity to raise their grades in IB English between 11th and 12th grade. It's a 2-year course. The idea is that they could improve their overall GPA, better meet A to G requirements, and succeed in their second year of coursework as 12th graders. The idea was brought to our IVP, Kristen Stout, who, although she's not recognized, we typically don't recognize members of the management team here. She does deserve to shout out for shepherding this project earlier. A competitive grant was applied for and awarded to fund the program, and then staff collaborated to create a condensed but comprehensive curriculum that centered our students' experiences, uplifted our shared values, and succeeded in changing both scores and mindsets for participants. So the staff we'd like to recognize tonight are Elisa Nino Sears, who is our volunteer coordinator at Sequoia, Justine Rutigliano, an English teacher, Nicole Vaughn, another English teacher, and Jasmine Shimmick, our English department chair, and 2 graduates from last year's class of 2022 who helped facilitate the learning this summer for the 16 students who participated, Natalia Lopez and Ryan Donnelly. So props to our IB reboot team at Sequoia for the great work that they did this year. I know a couple of our folks are on Zoom, and Elisa Nino Sears is here tonight on behalf of the team. So.
Thank you. And so we do have certificates for each one of you. Just want to say thank you again, and to the same sentiment expressed by Principal Priest, is that it is an honor when we have folk to take initiative in support of our students, and when folk go over and beyond. Our staff, we appreciate it because we know you don't have to. And then there lies the reflection of your true passion for the work that you do. And so with that, on behalf of the board and myself, your superintendent, I just want to say thank you and please continue to do great work and know that we see you. In addition to our recognition for this evening, there's one person in particular who, in my interactions with this individual, personal interactions that I just think is amazing, and all of you are amazing. But this evening, I'd like to take an opportunity to recognize one of our stellar employees. And I'll just say, I've been here, this is my second year, and oftentimes you interact with folk and they don't necessarily realize that you see everything that they're doing. It's fun to interact with staff and students and in their natural, authentic selves. When you see them counseling students, when you see discussion or engage in discussion about, Dr. Williams, you know what we can do with students? You know what I think would help advance the academic performance of our students? And then you turn around and within weeks, they've done it. So this here reflection represents one of our esteemed employees, Laura Sandora. If you please stand. And I know she's surprised, but she deserves it. So in just over a year, school counselor Laura has had a transformational impact on Tide Academy's program. Last year, with Tide's first junior class, students needed a college and career counseling program, a vast startup project. Laura created Tide's school profile, built a reputation among known colleges and universities, created systems and processes for the dual credit program with Foothill College, created senior years courses, and built the school program planning handbook. She has hosted many college fairs, organized the first college and career day, and a spring field trip for all Tide students to UC Santa Cruz, San Jose State, and Santa Clara University. She's created college advising lessons, many of which she delivered to students in Tide's advisory class. Her hard work is nothing short of amazing. And this year, with the first Tide, yay, graduating class of 2023, and we are excited and waiting, their families know what options await. And this is all in addition to her day-to-day work, her intervention, her patience, her compassion, and her commitment to counseling our students to greatness. So when we ask the question, are children well? We know that under the supervision and guidance of Laura Sandora, that our children not only are, but they will be well. So congratulations and thank you for being our hero or shero today. Would you like to say something?
Thank you. I'm incredibly honored by this. I'm also very surprised. So, yes, thank you so much for recognizing what we're trying to do in our little corner of the district right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
While Elisa is making her way up to the mic, I just want to say that I taught with Elisa Nino-Sayers once upon a time at Menlo Atherton High School. She went to Menlo Atherton High School and then she graduated from Stanford. When there was a review of our site, basically the county said the only one doing anything decent is Elisa Nino-Sayers. She sent 2 kids through Sequoia High School. She runs their volunteer program. She is a force for all that is good and who I aspire to be when I grow up.
That's incredibly generous. Thank you, Bonnie. No, I just, this was part of a big team project. It was really exciting to get this last minute grant opportunity right before winter break, and to have their incredible team at the Sequoia High School Ed Foundation primed and ready to apply for the grant quickly. We turned it around within a week with Don Brozek's help, and then had tremendous staff participate and students and parents really excited to take advantage of this program. So it's really nice, as Mr. Priest said, when everything comes together, because we've got a great family. Thank you.
And just to add to this list here from Sequoia High School, we got Nicole Vaughn, Jasmine Shimmick, we got Justine Rutigliano, Natalia Lopez, and Ryan Donnelly. Congratulations.
Through the president, if I might, I'd
Absolutely.
like to add a quick comment. I have a little bit of an anecdote to share about Laura Sandora. And I was kind of dragged into a little bit of a fly on the wall perspective right at the very beginning of this year, where I received contact from a Tide parent, very, very concerned about their students' schedule, the way it was set up this year, and trying to force board intervention to straighten Tide out. And what I did was ask that parent to be sure and engage with site administration to really talk through the issues and make sure that the student was well served as the site was prepared to do. And that was to be the end of my involvement, except that I ended up getting copied deep down on the distribution list of a few of the correspondence emails that went on. And Laura was front and center in discussing with the family and the student in particular what schedule adjustments needed to be made, where the school could get creative to make sure that all of the students' needs were met. And it culminated the following Monday. I think it was 4 days after the initial frantic email, with an email that came from the student to the Tide administration and Laura and to me as that fly on the wall, effusively saying, "I can't thank you enough for how you have rearranged my schedule to help me get everything I needed out of my opportunity here at Tide." Later on that same week, I attended the Tide Back to School night, where that student was one of the student leaders on campus and who approached me after I was identified in the crowd to say, "Thank you for all of your help in making this happen." This was no help from a board member other than a referral back to the leadership of our district, able to do the job. And the way in which a parental concern was turned around into a gleaming moment of student success is just a great testament to Laura, to Tina, to Simone, the entire team at Tide, and I think reflective of the great work done across our district in supporting our students and our families. So I'm extraordinarily appreciative of that kind of great work. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Ellen. Okay, moving on. We are on item 9 on our agenda, student trustee comments.
Okay. Oh. Good afternoon, everyone.
keeping it a little light this week because the heat has worn our patience and our stamina. Well, most of us, those without AC. Welcome back to the third week of school, fourth week for me. Students have provided some positive feedback on the organization of Late Start. They're mostly excited about having more flexibility in the beginning of the day with the later start time. Some of our peers are happy about reuniting with their favorite teachers. We have observed an atmosphere this year that's a little bit more upbeat. Talking to some friends and some leaders, people are just excited and they feel that this kind of upbeat new wave of school is like kind of interesting. It feels different. School spirit is ever present with the beginning of football season and water polo season. Go Scots. Middle college students are working on solidifying their class schedules and application choices for seniors. This heat this past week has also made students and staff realize the importance of the board's effort to implement HVAC standards to ensure the safety and success of our students. We ask for everyone's patience with students whose power and learning has been affected by this heat wave. In the coming weeks, we will work on getting connection with all the school sites, including our smaller school sites, to learn more about their experiences.
Yeah, so I've pretty much been getting the same notes from students that they're adjusting pretty well to school so far, which is just great. And I wanted to give some updates about the SAC, Student Advisory Council or Superintendent's Advisory Council. So we want to get in touch with people who lead clubs around school campuses and spread information about the SAC through that, so we can build a more representative SAC, which I think will be great. And we are hoping that people will nominate people through that. And we're just figuring out what that will look like going forward. We also want to keep an open forum at all our meetings so that every student can share something if need be. And yeah, that's pretty much what we've talked about on that front. And then we also want to run a survey at some point soon, asking students what issues they want us to address and where they are in terms of the school year. So those are my updates. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. We are so lucky to have such engaged student trustees. We appreciate that you are here. Okay, item number 10, comments from Sequoia District Teachers Association.
Somehow I always think I'm number 11 and I'm not prepared. I wanted to give a big shout out and thank you to everyone on the campuses yesterday and today who pulled together to make cooler spaces available for people who were in hotter rooms, who shared their spaces, to teachers who adjusted their lesson plans because they knew that kids were not going to be able to access the lesson that was originally planned in the heat that we were experiencing, to folks in our admin team who were supportive, brought some water to folks, helped them out, and really to everyone who sort of pulled together to make things work the last couple of days and who will continue to pull together to make things work in the next few days. It underscored for us how important the physical environment that our students have to learn in is, because we couldn't ask the same things of them yesterday in some cases in classrooms that were bordering 90 degrees that we could ask them on a normal day. But we will push together and it will be cooler soon. And we all look forward to that. And we look forward to a date in the future when we don't have to worry about it and we can teach right through these ups and downs. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next, do we have a representative from the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees? I don't think so. So that takes us to item 12. Our first information item, the report on the opening of. Pardon me? Number 12. Right? Oh. Sorry. Do they really keep me honest here? I skipped over public comment. So this is for items that are not on the agenda. So do we have any public comment?
I have
Nope.
no cards, no.
And I do have one hand from our Zoom audience, Abigail Corman.
Hi, thanks. Oh, 2 minutes, not 3. I think I'll make it. My name's Abby Carmen. I'm a
It is 3 minutes if you need 3. Because we like hearing from teachers.
Okay, I'm Abby Corman. I'm a teacher at Menlo Atherton. I'm actually still in my classroom. In the consent agenda earlier, the board passed funding for Gateway Community School students for the 22-23 school year. And then in the share out from closed session, we heard one student was expelled. Both those items brought up for me some questions I've been wondering about and would love to hear answered at a future board meeting about a topic that's not on the agenda. I know last year the board and County Superintendent Nancy McGee spoke about a potential partnership as Gateway serves majority SUHSD students and may need to close soon. And I know trustees have asked for an update on these exploratory meetings, and one was promised sometime this year, probably with a recommendation from the team for what should be done. I'm hoping at this presentation to come that we can learn about the specific needs of our students who we send to Gateway, who we've not been able to serve at our own sites. And are they not expelled? I thought they were if you went to Gateway. I want to know what other districts in our county are doing so they don't need to send their students to Gateway. And what ideas were brainstormed beyond continuing Gateway in its same form, in its same location, just funded by SUHSD. The idea in question I'm bringing to the board is to ask for research into what it could look like for SUHSD to have its own community school, either as a new site or at Redwood or the adult school. In June of this year, the State Board of Education approved its first round of planning and implementation grants for 268 school districts and county offices. And it was part of the state's historic $3 billion investment in community schools, which is the largest investment of its kind in the nation. We've discussed how costly Tier 3 services can be because these students need the most support in order to access their education. But we're lucky to live in California funding these needs with historic investments. So I hope to hear how our district is working to access this money, as well as support some of our students who need it the most before we get to expulsion. My concern is, like Trustee Dubois and many of you, for our students who aren't attending, for our students who haven't quite made it to graduation, really following through on those Tier 3 supports for an equitable school district. Thanks so much.
Thank you for your comments. Hey, any other public comments? I don't see any. Okay, now we will move on to item 12, the report on the opening of schools.
We have with you this evening 4 more of our schools that we'll be sharing. And then at our next board meeting, we'll hear last but not least from the adult school, since they start later in the year than any of our schools prior. So tonight in alphabetical order, we have Carlmont, Middle College, Tide, and Woodside. But since yesterday, Gay Buckland Murray graciously hosted on less notice than other sites are going to get the Ed Services Department for classroom walkthroughs, I'm going to go in reverse alphabetical order. We'll have Woodside and then Tide, Middle College, and we will finish with Carlmont. So Karen, please come and tell us about the opening of school.
I need a step stool. Hello, everyone. Today at our staff meeting, I opened the meeting with Dr. Williams' question, or the saying, the Messiah saying, and that is, how are the children? But in addition to that, Dr. Williams included in her most recent address, how are the adults to some degree? So I asked everyone to do a turn and talk and answer either one of those questions. How are the children? It's week 4, as well as, or they can choose, how are the adults? Because our kids will not aspire, they won't go fully reaching their potential unless the adults are well. And so it was a great opportunity for the noise to kind of fill up the PAC. And so that's how I open tonight. And I'd like to start with, we are at about 1,687 students strong, growing each day with some newcomer families. Some of our families were kind of still stuck in making sure that all of their immunizations are ready. Before the school year began, we kicked off with what we used to call Arena Check-in, and we renamed it this year to the Wildcat Welcome Days. And while it's still the same event of going through, getting your photo IDs, all of that, we did add one procedural piece, a logistics piece called textbook pickup. And that allowed for 4,000 books to be checked out in 2 days before the very first day of school. And the reasoning is we did not want to miss out on any instructional minutes when the library was being used for up to 2 weeks in past years. And students couldn't access the library. But on day 1, students were able to use the library because we were able to process those books through that Wildcat Welcome Days. We kicked off our first season opener with our lovely rivals and partners, Sequoia High School, in the Redwood City Rumble in a standing room only football game. We went with a loss, but that's okay. It was a big win just because the entire community seemed to come out to the football game that night. And we used exclusively our GoFan online ticketing system. It was festive, no matter who won the touchdowns. We had our new young music director, Nick Guidus, leading the pep band and keeping the spirits high throughout the evening. Last week on back to school night, we invited hundreds of our parents back. And I'd like to just, sometimes a parent's words are the best to capture the mood. Principal Van Putten, we wanted to take a moment to thank you and your amazing staff for a warm welcome to Woodside High School at back to school night. Getting a small glimpse of what our son experiences daily was wonderful. To say we were impressed by his teaching staff would be an understatement. We could see and feel their passion for teaching. Thank you all for staying late into the evening to welcome us, share about yourselves, and share your passion for teaching and your subject with much appreciation. I couldn't have pulled the words together any better than what the sentiment was between 6:30 to 8:45 in the evening as parents were hustling during their 5-minute passing period from one corner of the campus to the other. And we were working them hard to get to class on time. But overwhelmingly, without us even asking, parents were saying, this is such a great night. It's so great to meet everybody. And just as a reminder to all the audience members, the last time we were in person for back to school night on campus was when our current seniors were freshmen. So imagine the glee on our parents' just for them to be back on campus. So, and to run all these events like the football game and back to school night, it takes an entire village, including our neighbors, where when our parking lots are overfilled and we're blocking some of our neighbors. And I apologize, Woodside neighbors on Churchill. Thank you for being gracious. Lastly, I just want to mention the free meals because of our state of California and our district's partnership. The free meals have been received very well. Students are using their IDs to scan. It's the lines are moving along and it is popular. So we are selling out nearly on a daily basis for brunch and lunch. And I wanted to give a shout out to two things. Our ELAC, our PTSA, all of our parent boosters, athletic boosters, our foundation, they've all been meeting and really getting the energies up. And last night we had our ELAC meeting, our first of the night, and Lily Quinones joined us and gave a personalized Canvas tutorial, and our parents felt so empowered through that. And just wanted to say all of our parents also are expressing a level of engagement and partnership. So thank you. And finally, our foundation has really partnered with the school this year in elevating college and career readiness. And we're so excited to restart all of our off-campus Southern California bus tours, our college day events, career panelist speakers. And that's kind of where we're in the throes and in the planning stages. So we're excited. And if any of you speakers would like to come to our campus and sell what you do, please, you're welcome to come to Woodside. Thank you.
Think it's just the right height, although we might have to adjust between us. Good evening, Dr. Williams, Board of Trustees, Cabinet. We're excited to tell you about the opening days at Tide Academy. So we have 4 grade levels, first graduating class. Yay! 241 students and counting. I've never seen so many enrollments in the span of just a few weeks. So there's something happening out there, but it's good for Tide.
We also finally have every classroom and space in use. Most of them are shared because we now have more students and staff than we do have classrooms, which is a good problem to have.
Back to school night, the turnout was amazing. The positive vibe throughout the campus was contagious and exciting for Tide, as you also heard from Karen. It was the first back to school night in person since the school opened in 2019 with the inaugural class.
There's been lots of engaging instruction. For example, students recorded themselves saying a message to their parents in Spanish, and then QR codes were posted around our campus, and parents could then scan the QR code and see their messages from their students. And there was a, and I'm already forgetting my words, so let me look, a kinesthetic coding simulation done without the use of computers to get students on board on what coding was.
Our all-school book read author, Antonio Lopez, De Jesus Lopez Jr., met with all Tide students to share his inspiration for writing and read his poems. And our students were prepared with insightful, thoughtful questions because they had completed reflection questions in a project over the summer as well.
We do have new classes, the obvious ones with the seniors coming on board in our senior classes, but to highlight some of them, we did start a new CTE pathway. 2 years are being offered this year in graphic and interactive design, or GID. It's a very highly requested class. I actually ended up having to cap it because of space in the classroom. We have our dual credit English 4 class. We have the return of our dual credit US history after a year hiatus. We have data science. We have 4 levels of Spanish, all of which are dual credit. And we have 2 levels of PE being taught now on our campus.
And of course, the question we're all asking ourselves, and how are the children? So teachers are reporting students are highly engaged and excited to be back in classrooms. The Wellness Center staff, counselors, our mental health support specialists, and school psychologists are meeting student needs in real time.
And we see smiling faces around the campus. We look forward to our club's fair this Friday at lunch. And I also need to add by saying that our teachers have been awesome creators of the new curriculum all 4 years. This year is no exception. And we have amazing classified staff that have helped us open up a school and create processes that were never in place before.
In closing, a shout out to our parents who are going for it with the Tide Community Organization, Education Foundation, and we just hired a bilingual support liaison who's going to do huge outreach with parent engagement, get our English Learner Advisory Committee off the ground. Our after-school life is happening with extracurriculars, club fair this Friday, I think we mentioned that, and homework centers open full force next week. So that is the update on the opening of Tide.
Good evening, Dr. Williams, Cabinet, Board President Dubois, and Board of Trustees, student trustees, and the community. Especially want to give a shout out to Samantha, Middle College family. My name is Stephen Redmond. I'm the Executive Director for Middle College, and I'm just thankful to be up here. For those that don't know, Middle College started a week before the rest of the district started, and we start with an orientation week. And in the orientation week, our team was able to create opportunities for returning students and new students to the school year. This week gives the team the opportunity to introduce students to the program and give an overview. We started off with an introduction of the Middle College team, and it was my first opportunity to introduce myself to the Middle College family. And I want to give the teachers and the Middle College staff a shout out because they had me feel welcome, and also the students. The enjoyment I get of interacting with the students and seeing where they're at, that was provided by the Middle College team. So I want to thank them first off. During orientation week, students are able to introduce themselves. Each student had to do a presentation, they did a slideshow talking about who they were and why they ended up at Middle College. The rest of this week, students were able to get opportunity to get their textbooks from the college bookstore. They had access to college texts online. We also had representatives from the Student Life and Leadership Committee to encourage students to be involved on campus. One of the things that I've heard talking to the Kenyatta staff is how happy they are to have Middle College students in their classes. So that's a big kudos to the Middle College team and the students. The students were able to receive interactive presentation from Professor Ick for philosophy and Professor Santos for early childhood education. They were able to talk to the students about college expectations and how and when to use office hours. Finally, the students were able to tour the campus and find out where classes were located. And I really want to say the orientation week was a great opportunity for the students and building that community. Our first week of school, academic, we were happy to have the board come and the cabinet come. And just so you know, everyone was thankful for you guys coming on campus. So thank you for that. During the first week of instruction, students started out in their content areas, English and social studies. We currently have 89 students. The plan is to have those numbers increase considerably next year. In our CCR class, which is our college and career readiness, students learned the difference between Sequoia Union High School District grad requirements and A through G requirements. They also learned how their college classes can be used to meet college general education and degree requirements, basically showing them how to monitor their own progress toward meeting their educational goals. In the CCR2 class, seniors refine their college applications list and determine which applications are needed for the various colleges, creating a spreadsheet to track all of their applications. Again, giving students the opportunity to advocate for themselves and be in charge of their own future knowledge. Overall, I think it was a great welcome, and we're excited for the school year. And I just also want to give a thank you to President Lopez at Kenyatta, because they've been, also have made me and the students feel welcome, and we're excited about this school year. Thank you.
Okay, last but not least, we're going to talk about Carlmont. So Dr. Williams, board, cabinet, community, it's a privilege to talk to you tonight about the opening of Carlmont school year. And really, I kind of feel like there have been 5 openings to the Carlmont school year. School started for us on Thursday night, August 11th. We started that night with a community opener to welcome our 9th grade families and our new families onto campus in an open house forum where they joined us in the quad. There were tables set up for all of our various organizations. They got a chance to tour campus and to feel welcome before things got underway. Second opening of school was Friday, August 12th, when we got to welcome our new teachers onto campus for the first time. And that is one of the super fun events of the school year because there's new energy, new excitement, and just tremendous potential from that event. Then Monday, August 15th, also a great day because that's when we welcome back our entire staff. And I have to say that day was positive and productive for everyone. Opening number 4 happened on Tuesday, August 16th, when we welcomed all of our 9th graders onto campus for their 9th grade orientation. They get their schedules, they get to walk around campus and figure out where they're supposed to go on the actual first day of school. And then the main event. The actual opening of campus was Wednesday, August 17th, when amazingly at 8:30 a.m., when the bell rang, all 2,316 students were in classes with teachers, and it worked. Very exciting. So all aspects of our Carlmont community have been welcomed back to campus, and they'll be back tomorrow night for our back to school night as well. One point of pride I want to mention tonight to all of you is I'm really proud that Carlmont is fully staffed. And so I want to make a nod here to the SDTA and to the board for working together on creating a really strong contract for our teachers. Also to the PTSA and to the CAF at Carlmont who provide even more resources so that our teachers feel valued and they feel like it's worth it staying in the classroom and in education. I've been reading a lot in the papers about quiet quitting, great resignation, and the teacher shortages all over the nation. And it's really a huge point of pride that that is not currently my issue. And so I want to thank all of you who've had a part in that. The last little point of pride I want to make is that Carlmont football team has started 2-0. Go Scots. It's been a great start to the year.
What's not to love about our principals? We now welcome your questions and
Thank you
comments.
so much. Thank you for all of those updates. Does the board have any comments or questions? Yes, you can.
Pretty cool that you talked to, I'm sorry, let me look up the picture. It was pretty cool to hear the principal at Carlmont talk about staffing. I'm not for sure if anybody can hear me. And I thought that that was a really, that's been on my mind a lot about teacher, retaining teachers, not just recruiting teachers. And so I'm glad to hear that because that is a point of pride. And it says a lot about schools when teachers want to stay. So thank you for acknowledging that.
Thank you, Shani. Any other questions or comments? Alan, I know you're dying to say something. Go ahead.
You know, I'm always effusive and, you know, I'm inspired as always. I mean, to be hearing how unique each of our environments is, how strong the sense of community is in each of our schools, and how positively we've been launching with that. All of the stories that you told really resonated. I've been fortunate enough to attend a few of the events you referenced. And what the beginning of the year is for the board is trying to get that pulse on the district. What's right, what's wrong, where we can help, where we can continue supporting. And to me, what really resonates under everything everybody has said is the amount of commitment and preparation and the hard work that has come from all of our staff in making sure that each of these environments was ready to hum with joy the way it has at the launch. So we on the board can only thank and congratulate you for the way you have prepared your teams and your environments to bring in our students at the start of the year and let them show how great they're prepared to be. So nothing but hearty thanks from me.
Thank you. Anyone else? No? Thank you so much for your time. We know you start your days way too early, so we appreciate you being here. And yes, your presentations were so uplifting. So we appreciate what you all do for our kids. Thanks. Okay. Okay, now moving on to action items. Item 15.1, discussion, consideration, and approval of the 5th addendum employment contract with Associate Superintendent of Administrative Services.
Good afternoon, everyone. Well, evening again. And so it is with great pleasure that I come before the board requesting and recommending the approval of the 5th addendum employment agreement for our Associate Superintendent of Administrative Services, Crystal, for Crystal. And so based upon a great evaluation for this past year. And the reason that I'm looking at her is I know that she knows that we had a great year last year and so many wonderful things that she was able to assist us in accomplishing with our transition from distance learning to in-person learning. And so it is with great pride that I come before you to announce that she did receive a more than satisfactory evaluation for the following year for the 21, and I don't know what year I'm in, but the 21-22 school year. And so with that, she is to be congratulated. So thank you. And so the 5th amendment, I do ask the board, if in fact, for the consideration and the approval, and I shall read if you would like. Okay. The Board of Trustees of Sequoia Union High School District and Crystal Leach, Associate Superintendent, collectively referred as the parties enter into the 5th addendum agreement to the Associate Superintendent Employment Agreement effective retroactive to July 1, 2022. Whereas the parties entered into an Associate Superintendent Employment Agreement executed by the parties on July 1, 2019, a first addendum agreement on July 1st, 2020, second addendum agreement on September 18th, 2020, and a third addendum agreement dated July 1, 2021, and a fourth addendum agreement on March 23rd, 2022. Whereas the parties wish to modify and amend the Associate Superintendent Employment Agreement and approve this 5th addendum agreement by board action in open session during this regular, and it says regular, school board meeting as follows. Now, therefore, the parties agree as follows. Term. Pursuant to the terms of the agreement, the district hereby extends the term of the agreement and employs Associate Superintendent for a 3-year period from July 1, 2022 through June 30th, 2025, unless terminated earlier or extended as provided by the terms of the agreement or as allowed by law. Number 2, 5th Amendment. The July 1st, 2019 Associate Superintendent Employment Agreement is modified by this 5th Amendment to the agreement, and together the agreement as amended by the First Amendment to agree as amended by the Second Amendment to the agreement, as amended by the Third Amendment to the agreement, as amended, guess what, by the Fourth Amendment to the agreement, and as amended by the Fifth Amendment to the agreement, constitutes the entire understanding and agreement between the parties, and no addition to or modifications of any term or provision of these agreements shall be effective unless it is set forth in writing, signed by the parties, and is duly approved by the Board of Education. Board approval. If in fact the board accepts my recommendation. The fifth addendum agreement shall be contingent upon, of course, your approval by the district's governing board as required by the law. And I hope everyone catches this, that it is my recommendation for an extension for our associate superintendent and the work that she's done and her service and contributions to our district to be extended by 1 year. Thank you.
Thank you for reading that. Any questions?
I'd just like to clarify my understanding on timing, kind of looking at the history of the amendments. We have aimed for, and for the most part succeeded on, updating this contract with an amendment on July 1st at the start of our new fiscal year, with the exception of once when it was a bit late. And as I recall it, 2020 was rather a complex period of time in many regards for the district and the world. And then we have the outlier of this March, which in my recollection, I believe was dealing with the salary compaction issue to straighten that out. So I believe that what we're seeing here is the separation of the correction of the salary compaction and the compensation side of it from the extension. And so this is kind of splitting the difference between hitting our July 1st and not getting around to it until later. So if that's a correct understanding, I'm pleased to be at this point and be very supportive of it.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Yeah, Chris?
If we're at the point of deliberation, I guess I would offer this comment. To me, the reading of the addendum didn't adequately capture the enthusiasm for the extension of the contract. So let me add this briefly and look at our CBO. Her responsibility for making sure the financial stewardship of this district is solid is perhaps your greatest contribution, and we can all feel good about that. The audits you pass without exception, without comment, basically are sort of legal testimony to that. But then as we look at as we all know, the financial seaworthiness of this district is very strong. And a lot of that has to do with the way you manage our finances. She obviously takes care of a lot beyond that. And the most recent thing I think I want to point to is the facilities project plan, which leads to the bond, which leads, we hope leads to classroom environments that are more suitable for instruction as the SDTA. I want to thank you for all that work beyond that, which the addendum says, also for the sort of personal attention and helpfulness you provide to the board. I think one of the little things, but it really means a lot to some of us on the board, are the warrants in readable form, in readable Excel form, so we can actually analyze them, but also your responsiveness to our individual inquiries. And it's great fun to work with you too. So I'm very pleased by this addendum to your contract.
Thank you, Alan and Chris, for your gracious comments. Rich?
Well, to say for all that you've done for this district already and for all that you are doing now for us, I'm very pleased to support this as well.
All right. So with that, can I have a motion?
I would be pleased to move approval of this addendum.
And a
I'll second that.
Thank you both. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion is approved. So this meeting is really ending early. So there's 3 out of 4 of our board candidates watching this meeting. This is not normal at all. So normally we go a lot longer, but with that, I'll turn it over to the Board of Trustees Superintendent's comments. Dr. Williams, did you have any comments for us tonight?
Yes, I'd just like to extend appreciation to the entire community in Sequoia Union High School District, one for a superb opening of school. I know that it's been warm, weather has been unusually hot, and then the demand that has been put upon our teachers, our leaders. You have risen to the occasion in terms of providing as best of learning environments for our students. And for that, I do appreciate your work and also your concern for children, and then also your feedback. Today, I had the pleasure of visiting Sequoia High School, and had a wonderful time. And I saw principal priests walking around with cold water bottles, distributing those water bottles to our teachers. And then also I had an opportunity to meet with some students who sent me some emails of concerns, which I welcomed. And we just wanted to discuss what the district would do in terms of addressing the heat and what resources we could provide. And so I was very much inspired just by the advocacy of our students and their willingness to put forth their, not complaints, but their suggestions and recommendations, and then also their concerns for their learning environment. It definitely was a wonderful experience. And the other piece of that, I just want to say to our parents, thank you so very much for your patience as well during the heat. But most importantly, it's starting to feel, some people would say it feels like winter, but it's actually starting to feel like school. We're actually getting back to some sense of what we recognize as providing quality education for our students. We can see our students interacting and engaging, asking questions about college. I had also an opportunity today to visit a government class, and the engagement with the students was high level, and their questions, and then also the feedback. It was just amazing to watch. And so what I always say is, any point in your day, if you ever feel like you need to be uplifted, you can always walk into a classroom, and it reminds us of our passion point for education and for students to do well. And so just again, I cannot express my appreciation to all of you, and knowing this, that we only get better together, and that we are only a community together. So once again, kudos to our teachers, our staff members, our counselors, our maintenance folk. I see you out there working, our transportation folk. Now I'm going to get myself in trouble. Also, our food services, our secretaries, our administrative assistants, our students, every single person who shows up for Sequoia Union High School District on a daily basis. We thank you, we appreciate you, and our wonderful students are here only because of you. And of course, our wonderful trustees. So thank you all.
Thank you for that. Okay, I'll go next with a couple agenda item suggestions. I've been thinking, I certainly enjoyed our visit the first day of school, but I'm still feeling bad that we ran out of time and couldn't visit Trace. And I'm wondering if the board would have interest in going back and maybe spending a little more time. Is that possible? And then the other thing to agendize again is this idea of visiting schools. I know that many of you want to go individually, but and that's fine. I think that's a good idea. But I really prefer our old model. I think it's so important when we're all sort of learning together, and especially that model of listening to students. They just come in. It was always a wide range of students, struggling students, as well as our leadership and, and top students, and they would just come in and just share, and also an opportunity for teachers to come in. I just think that is, for me, a very authentic and it's a better way for me to show my appreciation, to do it that way. So should we schedule an agenda item to discuss that, doing the groups, or would they just be scheduled? Does everyone agree? So I need some nodded heads on the group, and not to take away for those of you that want to do individual, that's fine too. Yeah. Okay. All right. I think that is it for me. Any other board comments? Shanice.
President Dubois. I wanted to share a couple of things that I have been doing. One, I went roller skating in my community, free roller skating. I didn't see anyone.
Sorry, I was afraid, so that's why I didn't go. Afraid because of my knees.
Also, Okay, I also have been, went to a healing kind of event for individuals that have been impacted with the juvenile justice system, but also the criminal justice system, and was really able to watch healing circles and kind of like healing practices around healing from that trauma experience. So I thought that that was pretty good. I actually saw quite a few youth there. I also went to a MA tamale fundraiser. It was all about MA this last weekend. I didn't go to their game. I sent my husband and my daughter. I heard it was great. I stayed at home by myself. And I heard it was good. I think there's someone new there on the football team. So I think that's exciting. I also wanted to acknowledge Principal Luskud. He sent out a recent newsletter about language at the school and language that's hurtful, and actually had a parent call me and acknowledge that that was very helpful given their own experience at the school. And so I said, not all about MA, but it's kind of where I'm at. I'm going to get around to other schools. And I had another parent email me and said, I'd like to talk about rigor. And I was expecting we're not doing rigor, but she said, no, I actually have an example of what rigor looks like at MA. And I was like, oh, that's nice. So she told me to let everybody know it's marine biology. It's a great example of rigor. And I said I would bring it back to the group. The other thing I want to bring about is to really acknowledge Associate Superintendent Crystal Leach and our superintendent in dealing with the transportation issue that's not solved yet. But just want to say thank you for moving on that. And I think the parent, based off kind of what I'm hearing, parents are feeling like we're listening. And so wanted to thank you all for that. I know it was out of our control, but you know, you guys are really moving through things that aren't our control. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. And then I wanted to wonder if we could get a presentation from the Welcome Center, because I think we're getting more diverse learners. I think I heard from someone that there's Jordan, there's Ukraine, there's, you know, so I just want to hear about how that's impacting our schools or not, and, you know, in a positive way, you know, and how are we dealing with our resources? Are they being impacted? Those kinds of things. So if that's okay with everyone, I'd love to hear more about the Welcome Center.
I am interested in that. Anyone else? Okay.
Okay.
It could
Thank you for that.
possibly be in the Friday update as opposed to at a regular meeting, just a thought.
I think I want to.
I don't know.
Yeah, because those are the kinds of presentations I really like.
I'm just looking at, like, that's not my preference, but if there's someone else who has a different one, it's okay with me.
I would be happy to hear about it in person as well.
Thank you. Great. We got, okay. The other thing I wanted to talk about is, you know, it's a heart issue. I recently lost someone in my life that one of their kids died of sickle cell, which my kid has, and really thought about this extreme weather. It's really hard. We talk about the learning environment. Actually, it's a health issue for some of our kids that are very have compromised immune system, and just thinking about that more. I don't think we talk about kids with health issues out there. I'm looking at Bonnie because she's over when she supervises folks over in special education. And so I often wonder about that. And I know I've heard in the community, read a couple articles, the luxury of having air conditioner. I just want to say it's not a luxury at this point with the climate change. And so my heart went out to those who may have been impacted deeply by the lack of air conditioner in our schools because of the aging buildings. So I just needed to highlight that because it's real when you know someone is dealing with a health condition. And then the very last thing, I just want to I appreciate both our trustees, Trustee Rodriguez Velasquez, but I also had this opportunity to see Trustee Swaminathan sing, and she does opera. It was so beautiful. So thank you for inviting me. I got to see your talent. So it just reminds me how beautiful our district really is and the people in it. So thank you.
Thank you. Ellen?
I want to talk to two things. One is a meeting that I attended yesterday with President Dubois and Superintendent Williams, which was the 2x2 meeting with the Belmont Redwood Shores School District. And the topics that we really looked into were stronger and stronger articulation of program to provide a TK through 12 experience. And they brought forward a movement toward a graduate student profile for the district to really help BRSSD prepare their students most effectively for success in the Sequoia Union High School District, and also to help the Sequoia Union High School District align their programs most effectively to enhance the success of the students that would be coming to us. And they brought up a lot of specifics of potential contact points, the growth of an IB program within one of their middle schools that would have a natural connection with the IB program at Sequoia and what can be done to look into that. And also the growth of a design thinking program at another of their middle school environments that might well have a very strong connection with the design tech program, which is a lot more complex since there is another high school district involved in the operation of that charter school. So there's a lot of different layers to that particular onion to peel. But in general, I think they are emerging as a very strong partner in pursuit of articulation and collaboration. And I think we're doing some really facing some great opportunities to really make meaningful progress there. I hope we can find the right kind of bandwidth to be able to strengthen those connections with all of our K8 partners. And I know the challenge is very much that each of those partnerships gets magnified eightfold for our staff and for our superintendent. But I think these are the ways that we can operate the Sequoia footprint more effectively as a virtual unified school district and really bring a lot of the connectivity benefits to the students across the board. So I hope we will continue to look for effective ways that we can do it. The other actually set of events I've been attending, I've had the good fortune so far of attending football games at 3 of our 4 large comprehensive schools so far. Oddly enough, it's my local neighborhood, Carlmont, I haven't gotten to yet, but they're up ahead. And it's been astonishing to me, really, over the first couple of weeks of the high school year, to see not just the level of preparation and performance and teamwork and camaraderie and spirit of our football teams, and recognizing all of the hard work that has gone in throughout the summer in preparing those teams to be ready to play. But the other support groups that are an active part of those environments are pep bands, our cheerleading squads, our dance teams, our student support sections, our parent support organizations. All of these groups have hit the ground, not running, just sprinting like crazy. And It really is astonishing. The bands sound like bands. The cheerleading squads look like cheerleading squads. The dance teams look like dance teams. The parent-run concessions operate correctly, and they're tasty and enjoyable. And in each of these environments, within each of these groups, you see such an incredible cohesion and team and family building. And they're all putting on performances of various sorts where they're showing off close coordination, teamwork, preparation, hard work, athletic skill, on and on and on. And building that sense of family and community that turns the school environment into something special for them. For so many of our student groups, athletics and performing arts in these early parts of the school year become their primary opportunity for deep connection to our schools and our academic environment. But it goes beyond that, that it's also the gateway for all of our student body to connect more strongly with the school and the school community, and to have our parents and broader community connect with the schools. I can't express enough admiration for how everybody across the district has participated in this. I've spoken with several of the leaders of those student groups, and they've talked about, this is what we do at the start of the school year. We come in with our heads down, and we know that we have got performance dates on our calendar, and we're going to be ready, and we're going to kick it when we get there. And just to see the sense of pride and commitment and engagement in each of those students in each of those groups is just tremendous. One of the things that has been occurring to me over and over again, and I hope we can do more of it, I hope we really strengthen the SAC for performing arts across the district, and really have that subject area council coming together to share best practices and enthusiasm and kind of a strength of voice to make sure that they are getting the kind of support on their campuses to recognize how critical and valuable this is to our students, and how beneficially it weighs in alongside all of the more recognizable academic subject areas, and really keep it strong and going. To me, it's been just a fabulous sense of that joy that we've heard expressed on all the campuses, and the way that our community is knitting back together and launching. So thank you very much to all the schools for sharing that with me over the last few weeks, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the this part of the year for more of it.
Thank you, Ellen. Nothing from Chris, nothing from Rich. Shanice already went. Superintendent already went. Okay, so I think we're done. Wow. World record. So I have a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Kudos for the planning that gave us this very brief meeting. Well done. It must have been prescient about the heat we were going to have. With that, I'd love to move adjournment.
Thank you for the second. All in favor? Meeting is adjourned.